Yes, I am the co-owner and president of Gonzo Bros Landscape. We are a family-owned operation. We're out of Prior Lake, Minnesota. We do travel all over the metro, including Maple Grove, Plymouth, pretty much anywhere that has work for us. But the further the distance, the larger the project we kind of need it to be. So we started in 2015 back out of our mom's garage, and now we are up to 50 plus summer employees and 70 plus winter employees, up to 90, 100 employees when it snows 12 inches of snow like we had on March 15th. But we're all things lawn, landscape, irrigation, shrubs, grass, health, you name it, snow removal companies. So today I am focusing our conversation more so on the landscaping side of things. Last February I talked more on the grounds maintenance, snow removal. However, at the end, I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys might have regarding our regular grounds maintenance, snow removal contracts. So we're here as a resource. We've been a part of the HOA network now for about a year, and it'll be a year next month, and it's just been a wonderful experience. It's so fulfilling to be able to answer questions and help you guys all succeed within our category of managing HOAs. You have a huge responsibility and a huge job that sometimes is thankless. So we don't let that go unrecognized, and it's always nice working together with our boards to make sure we're accomplishing the best looking property for the best price. But today we are going to focus on the conversation of landscaping, your landscaping beds, and knowing, are you in a place where you need to redo those? General rule of thumb I want to hit you with right away is going to be, is it costing you more money to maintain than to just replace a new landscape? Sounds simple, but we don't always think of that. It's pretty normal. Oh, my contract is X amount a year, and the shrub trimming and weeding is this every single year. It could be costing you a lot of money compared to just replacing it and having a return on that investment within a year, 2, 3 years. You could get a 25% return. And what I mean by that is you might have shrubs that are 10, 15, 20 feet tall. We're charging you a lot of money to maintain those shrubs. It's taking a lot of labor to come in and trim those shrubs every single year, once a year, twice a year. If your landscaping beds are 30 years old and you don't have much of a weed barrier there fighting those weeds, we're charging you a lot of money to pick those weeds and treat those weeds and spray them on a monthly basis. When if you have a new weed barrier system involved, I might not need to pick those weeds at all summer, because the weed barrier is doing what it's supposed to do. And if the shrubs are smaller, then of course it takes way less labor. I am in and out compared to a large established landscape. Another thought, of course, is going to be your overgrown situation. If I'm driving into your driveway, is my car getting hit by branches? Is it getting hit by shrubs? If I'm walking to your front door, you're having family over, are you not able to see the full width of your sidewalk? When I'm shoveling your sidewalk, am I only able to shovel so much because the shrub is growing into the sidewalk? So obviously our overgrown situations is something to consider when deciding if you want to have a conversation about having a new landscape. Things are dying, just drainage problems. That's step one, of course, but when it rains, are we having water build up at the foundation around your structures, the most expensive part of your property? If we have decided that, okay, we have some of these issues, it's maybe time to have a conversation about renovating our landscape. This is the fun part, in my opinion. What are we out to do? We've decided we're going to put some money aside. We are going to redesign our landscaping. With all that being said, what am I looking to do? Do I want to add a bunch of color into my landscaping? Do I want to create space? Do I want privacy that we haven't had but now I can have naturally through shrubbery, through strategic landscaping, ornamental trees, privacy trees? Is our main goal just drainage? We've had a builder out and we have a problem. We need to adjust our landscaping. Is our main goal just drainage? Is less more? Do I just want to take out everything and have a clean look because I don't want to deal with it anymore? And I want to pay less money, and in return, I am getting a huge return on that investment. What's the goal? What are our preferences? These are conversations to be had with a designer. Another thing to make sure you're having a conversation, if you're having a qualified designer within the conversation, is you're planting the right things in the right places. If I plant a shrub that likes sun in the shade, is it going to do well? No. So even though I really like that shrub, every unit might pose a different challenge in terms of planting the right things in the right locations. Is it north facing, south facing? How much shade is it getting? How much sun is it getting? Ultimately, you just want to maximize your investment. You don't want to plant things, spend money on it that's going to fail. So talking to the right designer, planting the right shrubs in the right places. Okay, we have decided our landscaping needs to be redone. We have decided how we want to redo it, and now we have installed it. After the fact, we have to have the conversation. The budget of installing the landscape, or the budget of watering your newly established landscape, is just as important as installing the newly established landscape. So if you don't have a conversation about water, just basically know that you're probably going to waste a good amount of your capital. So a lot of these projects are at a larger scale. You could be dealing with 100, 200, 300, 400 unit project, and even if it's only 10 units, it's still important that you protect your investment and you're giving your new, very needy plants the water that it deserves. And if I'm out there planting right now, today or within the last 3 weeks, we got 90-degree weather every single day. It's scorching hot. It is harder to sleep at night if you are maintaining that responsibility as a board. Or you're telling your homeowner, even if you're telling your homeowner, hey, I need you to water these, can you really trust that they're getting water? Are you really sleeping at night knowing that your investment in your project is being protected? Probably not as well as if you had a drip line installed. Does anyone here know what a drip line is? Drip line is an automatic watering system for your landscaping beds. You can tie this directly into your irrigation system, of course, if your controller has enough space. But basically what this does is we set it up, we're responsible, so now we can warranty it. Most landscapers are not going to be able to warranty things unless they're installing a drip line, which gives them security that, hey, if this plant fails, it's because it was most likely a faulty plant, and at that point I can replace it for you. If there's not a drip or I'm not watering it myself, I have no control over what you guys are doing. I can only spend so much time on the property. I can't comfortably warranty that for you. So not only will it get you a warranty by doing a watering system through your contractor, but you'll just know that your plants are going to be set up for best for success. But a drip line is something to consider. If your budget is $1,000 and the drip line's $500, well, you're putting in $500 of plants and $500 of drip. That's the right way to do it. So watering, just as important as the new project. So we've decided we need our new landscaping. We've decided on the design. We've installed it, and we have the watering set up. Okay, so now we have to think about, how do I maintain my new landscaping? And that's mainly going to be shrubs and weeds. And when I say shrubs, I mean trimming shrubs, cutting them back if they're a perennial, cutting them back if they're an ornamental grass. Weeds, just keeping the weeds out, keeping it looking good, and we don't want the weeds to take over. But first, I want to talk about shrubs. So whether you are maintaining an existing landscaping already on your properties or you're maintaining your newly installed landscaping, it's really important that your contractor is maintaining them the right way. And what I mean by that is every shrub prefers to be trimmed at a certain time. So I'm going to throw out, anyone know what an arborvitae is? Yeah, arborvitae. So that's a pretty common shrub that we're seeing on HOA properties. That is a spring trim. They are extremely fragile. By the book will tell you spring only. I think you can get away with it in the fall. The point of having it trimmed in the spring is that it likes cool weather because it's fragile. So if I go out there and I trim your arborvitaes today, I guarantee you something's gonna die, if not all of it. It's just not gonna do well. And if your contractor is going out and trimming the wrong shrub at the wrong time, you're gonna have a lot of failure. And then there's a he said, she said situation. So I strongly urge you to have a designer or your contractor come in and give you a list of plants that you have within your property so you know when things should be shrubs and you can hold your contractor accountable. As much as I'd like to say every contractor is perfect and our industry is perfect, it isn't, and nothing is. So you don't want, unfortunately, contractors will come out and they'll trim things at the wrong time and you'll have dead shrubs and it'll take time for them to die, and enough time to the point where you're paying for the replacement and they weren't held accountable. So if you can obtain a list of plants and know, okay, we should have things trimmed, these plant A, B, and C trimmed in May, and plant plant A, B, and C, D, E, trimmed in the fall. That's a way for you to hold your contractor accountable. So knowing when to knowing when to trim your shrubs at the right time in the right place will protect your investment, whether it's a newly installed landscaping or it's your landscaping that's already within your property. The other thing that I wanted to talk about, ornamental grasses and shrubs. It does not matter whether you trim them in the fall or the spring. That's completely personal preference. As a contractor, I'm always going to say, if you don't care, I want to come in the fall, because we have awkward October, is what we call it. But awkward October is essentially the grass slows down, the leaves aren't quite down, so I can't mow because there's nothing to mow. You guys don't want me to pick up the leaves yet because the leaves are still on the trees, and you want one cleanup, push it off as late as you can, which is great. So during that window of awkwardness, we like to come out and trim down grasses and trim down perennials. However, not a lot, but I guess a good 50% of our associations, they like the grasses for their winter interests. It's something to look at. Others are, it doesn't matter to me. So just come and trim it if you'd like to, but the important note in this subject is it does not matter whether you trim your grasses down in the fall or the spring or perennials. The perennials are easier in the spring, but we'll do them in the fall if the property will let us, because we have a little bit more time than in the spring. As far as weeds, if you have a newly installed and designed landscape, you won't have much of a weed problem. And that is because you have to assume that your contractor is qualified and is doing things the right way. They are installing in the proper function a newly installed weed barrier. There are multiple different levels of weed barrier. There's good, better, best. So just understand that with anything, like any product in life, there's good, better, best. And even with the good, you can still have a very effective approach, with managing your weeds with new weed barrier. But the important part is the installation process. So when you are talking about weed barrier, you can really get some thick, military grade weed barrier down that will fight weeds for 10, 15 years. It's expensive, you'll pay for it, but is it worth it? Is that something that you deal with on a regular basis within your association? Is that something you're getting the most calls about? Is that something you are paying the most for? It might be worth having that conversation about the really thick weed barrier. However good someone puts it in, or however nice and how much you pay for the weed barrier, there is always going to be a little hole and basically entry point around your shrubbery, because you can't have a weed barrier through a shrub. You need to have an opening so those shrubs can get water and get sun, and of course so they can get planted. Those weeds will try to sneak up and in and through your plants and choke out your plants. So managing the weeds within your plants, even if you can't see them, you need to have your contractors going into the plants and really picking and maintaining those weeds is extremely important. Otherwise, it'll choke out those plants and those weeds will eventually win. So when I'm talking about maintenance, that's mainly what I wanted to talk about. And I also wanted to touch base. Been doing this for 12 years, and I just found this new product, which is just crazy that I'm just finding it, when I should say we, but it's a new we've been using pre-emergent products for forever, but I just found a liquid product, and this is us installing it here. This is probably April 15th this year. We started April 13th. We're thankful for an early start. That bed looks the exact same as it does right now. This bed is probably 35 years old. The weed barrier is not doing anything. It doesn't exist. You can kind of see it if you walk the property. It's all beat up, but it's not being a barrier to weeds, I'll tell you that. And this product, this pre-emergent liquid, has maintained the weeds throughout the association. I am blown away. So there are pre-emergent applications that you can work with your contractor on to make sure that, and this is way more cost effective than tearing out all the rock, redoing all the edging, redoing all the weed barrier, and reinstalling everything. You can just pay for a maintenance program to manage the weeds. However, I am only going to be more successful in an area where I'm not having any vegetation. If I'm spraying this within front beds that have 10 to 12 plants, I'm going to kill those plants. So you still have to have that manual weeding, and you still have to have that conversation of, even if Gonzo Brothers comes once a week, there's still so many weeds, and they can't make it perfect no matter how much I pay them. I think we need to have a conversation about redoing our front beds. So pre-emergent, I just want to make sure we're touching on that, because the importance of a proper pre-emergent application could make the difference for the whole season. And it's really timing. It's timing. Okay, so we've went through, do I need a new landscape? What type of landscape do I want? The watering of the new landscape, and how to maintain it. Now I kind of want to move on and just touch base on a couple of retaining wall notes. With that being said, there are two different types of retaining walls. You have your boulder retaining walls and your block retaining walls. Here is Connor. He has been with us for a few years now. He will call himself a hardscape expert. Hardscaping is your retaining walls, patios, outdoor living spaces, functional living spaces, functional property spaces. The main point of a retaining wall is going to be basically controlling erosion, drainage, and creating space. There's, of course, the installation of retaining walls just purely for the aesthetic, which I love always, being a designer. However, the main reason I am implementing a retaining wall within a property is for functionality. I'm creating space from unusable space. I'm controlling drainage. That's a big one. Stopping water from where it's going to where it should be going, and then erosion, of course. So I'm protecting structures is the main purpose of retaining walls. And the two types are block and boulder. Here is a block wall. I think they're great. They both serve the same purpose. The boulder and block, they both serve the same purpose, and they'll both do a great job serving the purpose. Right here, we installed this in the spring. We had an early spring, like I said, so we're grateful for that. We were able to get out there right after the snow and start working, of course, when the ground thawed out. But this wall is holding our townhome unit up, right? And this is a block wall. I am a new love, and I'll show you why in a second. But labor is harder and harder to come by in our world every single day. So block walls are getting more challenging and challenging. Well, I guess I should step back. Contractors in general are doing everything they can to utilize equipment over people, because equipment shows up every day. Equipment doesn't complain, and equipment is super happy to be there. Its one job is to work, and it's a lot easier to find equipment than people. And in a block wall here, I have 8 to 10 guys stacking this. It's a lot of labor, which means a lot of expense. And on top of that, these blocks are manufactured concrete, so it's man-made, so it will fail. Compared to a boulder wall, these boulders are here before us. They're not going anywhere. These will last longer. They might break down and decay some, but this is going to last longer than your block wall. And this whole wall here was installed by a machine. One person and a machine compared to 10 guys stacking. So the labor cost is way lower. Equipment's cheaper than people. And on top of that, the longevity behind this boulder wall is immensely greater. So in boulders, this is a fieldstone boulder, so this is going to be your more common boulder wall. But there are multiple different colors and multiple different styles of rock that you can choose from. So that's the main benefit of a block wall. Because it's man-made, there's a million different colors, a million different manufacturers, and a million different things to choose from. So I would say that's the biggest aesthetically. Your block wall is probably going to win the argument. However, if you're going for a more natural look, longevity, a cheaper price, at least from Gonzo, then I would recommend going with the boulder wall. As far as functionality goes, our structure is over here on the right side, and we are holding land back compared to our holding land up. I mean, we're holding land up, you could say either way, but we're holding the structure up compared to holding land back from the structure. There's a hill starting from here, this grade, all the way down to the structure. So the customer here, the client, did not have any usable space. The whole land was unusable, and they wanted a yard to mow. They wanted a place for their dog to run around, and just a yard to use. So not only did we create space, but we corrected all of the drainage to go away from the structure, and gave them a little bit of yard to mow. I wanted to do a little slide on natural grasses and pollinator beds. I think me more than anyone appreciates a perfectly manicured lawn and landscape and a perfect property, but think of a perfectly manicured lawn as like a desert for bees. There's no food there. So I think it's important that we don't leave out our ecosystem in the process of maintaining our properties and making them look the best that they can. And what I mean by that is we can accomplish both. So when we're planting, let's, instead of just going green shrubbery, neat, tidy, manicured, tightly trimmed shrubs, let's plant perennials. Let's get flowers. Let's get grasses. Let's get things that will give back to the ecosystem. And the benefit of this is not only helping the ecosystem, but of course it's low maintenance. It requires less water. It's going to be more susceptible to this heat. It's less of a headache. So it's kind of a win-win. And on top of that, it's pretty too if it's done the right way. So I just think we are going in the wrong direction a lot of the time. And it's important when I have a stage to speak that I emphasize, the ease of this process while we can do this while accomplishing all of our goals instead of just accomplishing the neat and tidy look. I also wanted to do a slide on brush cutting and land clearing. I think this is often overlooked. It's a fairly quick process. And basically, why I wanted to bring this up is a lot of you have beautiful, spread out, sprawling, land that goes unused. You have invasive buckthorn that's growing and choking out wanted trees, wanted vegetation. And if you don't fight back, eventually that buckthorn will win. So not only do you want to protect the trees that you love and that are gorgeous, and honestly protect a huge cost down the road from all of them dying, because tree removal is not something that's cheap, and it's not something that's giving back to you. You're not getting a return on that investment. But you can create more space within your property. So if you have a heavily wooded area and you take out everything that shouldn't be there, that's invasive to Minnesota landscapes, you can free up all of this space. And I want to use actually Mark and Lynn's association as an example. This is probably done years ago, but their whole property is, well, not their whole property, but a large majority of their property is multiple acres is wooded. That was, clearly like cleared out, and they paved walking trails through the whole association. So, and it's so fun to watch, because you go down there, our crews go down there and we go down there to maintain things, and it's just, you see multiple residents walking and using these trails on an everyday basis. It's a total enhancement to the association, ultimately raising the property values of every single address, and just giving the association a better experience. So I think brush cutting is something to consider. You might have a lot of unused space on your property, and creating trails, even if they're gravel walking trails, is not a big project. So it's something to consider and to not, sleep on. This is more so a slide here just for you to take home with you. This is a list of different shrubs that are extremely low maintenance. And what I mean by low maintenance is you can plant them and you can water them because you're excited about them for 2 weeks, and then forget about them and they'll probably be okay. So this is just more so for you to bring home. I'm not going to list every single one, but they need little to no water. And then another thought too is us landscapers, we slow down. People are, I'll wait till next year to do my landscaping because it's already so late in the season. Our phones slow down in October, November, and it's still workable weather. We want to work. People want to work. So our rates come down. It's actually a great time to do things because you're going to have a better germination rate on things like your seed. If I'm planting seed right now, I'm happy to get 50% germination rate. If I'm planting seed in the fall, I will see 85 to 90% germination rate. So you're actually more successful with your seed, your plants, because those temperatures are a little nicer to things. But our phones slow down, so we are way more cost friendly than what right now because our phone is ringing, all day. So it's important, and we're not the only ones either. So it's important to think if you have that big project and you're willing to wait a couple of months, I would wait. It would save you a significant amount of money. And then here's just a picture. I can't believe I have Tommy cut off. He's actually our landscaping manager. And then you have Carly, me, my brother, and my mom. This is us at HOA Day last year in Burnsville at the Ames Center. Just a picture of us. We're here to help you ultimately, and please call us if you ever need a second opinion on anything. Thanks for coming out to listen to me today, and I hope you learned something.